Hey, Jim here. It's 2026 and you know that feeling. Every time you pull up to the pump, you feel the sting in your wallet. And with gas prices pushing $4 a gallon nationally and even higher where I am, that little voice in your head gets louder. Is it finally time to go electric? Especially when you take into consideration that your 15-gallon tank takes $60 or more to fill and it only lasts a week if you're lucky. Now, you've seen the videos, you've heard the hype, but this year feels a little bit different. A lot of older advice is based on the tax credits that have either changed, depending on where you live, or completely vanished. As of late 2025, that old simple universal $7,500 federal tax credit you heard so much about, it is gone. So let's break down the real, honest math for today. No hype, no bias, just the numbers. Now, I've tracked the real cost from sticker price to your power bill and compared it to what you're spending on gas right now. And by the end of this, you'll know the true cost of switching, the hidden traps, and whether going electric will actually save you any money at all, or if it's just trading one expensive habit for another. All right, let's get the big awkward number out of the way. That's the sticker price. And I won't sugarcoat it. The average price of a new car in the USA today is over $49,000. There are a few electric cars that come in under that price, but the national average for a new EV is about $4,000 more at $53,000. But I'm going to provide a link to a video that I did a few days back for all the new EVs that are under the $40,000 threshold. So go watch that video if you want to know more. But in most cases, we're talking a gap of just a few $1,000s on average between an EV and a comparable ICE car. Now, without that big, simple federal tax credit to soften the blow for most cars, that price difference just feels bigger, but it's really not. New cars are just expensive, period. And for a lot of people, that's where the conversation about a new car just stops anyway, and I get it. Computing the total cost of ownership for a car can take some time. And it isn't easy to figure when your budget is already marginal. But that's not the whole story. The game completely changes when you look at the used EV market. After years of strong sales, there's finally a healthy supply of 3 to 5 year old electric cars out there, and this is where the math gets really interesting. Depreciation has hit some of those early models very hard, which is bad for the first owner, but fantastic for you. You can now find a used EV for a price that's competitive with similar used gas cars, and sometimes it's even cheaper. The takeaway? While a brand new 2026 or 2027 model EV means swallowing a higher upfront cost, the price to get into an electric car is lower than it's ever been if you're open to pre-owned. But the purchase price is just chapter one. What happens after you drive that car off the lot? Let's examine that. So this is the main event. The number one reason anybody thinks about switching is to finally escape the tyranny of the gas station. So does it work? The honest answer is it depends almost entirely on one simple thing: where you plug in your EV. And I covered that in a couple of videos a few weeks back. Again, the links are in the description, and I encourage you to go watch those videos too. But let's be real. Home charging is the absolute superpower of EV ownership. If you can plug in overnight in your own garage, in your own carport or driveway, the savings are dramatic and undeniable. Let's break it down by cost per mile. Right now, a typical gas car getting about 26 miles per gallon with gas at $4 is costing you around 15 to 16 cents for every mile you drive, just for gasoline, the stuff that makes your wheels go round and round. Now the EV, charging at home with an average electricity rate nationwide of about 18 cents per kilowatt hour, and this is going to vary a lot by where you live, that same mile will cost you between 3.5 and 4.5 cents per mile. That's a massive reduction. It's the difference between spending $150 a month on gas or maybe $30 to $40 on your electricity bill. And over a year of average driving, that's about $1,400 in your pocket. And if you couple that with the maintenance savings, it will be well over $2,000 per year. However, and this is a big however, there's a trap here called public fast charging. If you cannot charge at home because you live in an apartment or park on the street and you have to rely on those fast chargers, the story will change dramatically. The cost per mile at a fast charger can easily be 2, 3, or 4 times higher than charging at home. In some cases, it gets dangerously close to the cost of gasoline, wiping out your savings entirely. But if you have the option to charge at work, the DC fast charge trap might be a moot point, but that only affects a very small percentage of EV owners. So this rule is simple. If you have a place to plug in overnight or charge on a level 2 charger at work, an EV offers a huge, consistent savings. If you don't, the financial argument gets much, much weaker. Okay, so round 1 is over. Fuel is the obvious expense. But what about everything else? EV fans will often tell you that there's no maintenance, which is not entirely true, but it is dramatically less. An electric motor has a tiny fraction of the moving parts of an engine. That means there's no oil changes, no spark plugs, no timing belts, no exhaust systems to rust out, ever. Studies consistently show that EV maintenance costs are between 50 and 70% less per year on average. And that can add up to thousands over the life of the car. They even save on your brakes, since most of the slowing down in your EV is done by the motor using what's called regenerative braking, which puts a little power back into the battery. But it's not all good news. You have to factor in 2 other expenses, 2 other costs. First is insurance, and for a variety of reasons, from higher repair costs to the simple fact that EVs are more expensive than ICE cars, insuring an EV is often a bit more expensive than a comparable gas car, but not always. Here is where things trap most people. When you're trading in a car that has a value of $15,000 to $20,000, getting into a new car that costs $35,000 or more, of course your insurance rates are going to increase. And it does not matter whether that new car is an EV or a gas-powered car. This is where most of the misinformation comes from about insurance, and it's almost 100% of the "my insurance more than doubled" stories you hear on social media about EVs. But nonetheless, if you buy a new car, be it an EV or an internal combustion engine car, your insurance will increase. Period. And that is why you must do your due diligence. The second and much bigger factor is depreciation. It's the silent killer of car value. The EV market is evolving so fast that some models have seen their resale value drop much quicker than the average in the industry. This depreciation can be so significant that it can wipe out all of your fuel and maintenance savings over the first 2 to 3 years. However, this is also getting better, and it is very model specific. Just like with gas cars, some EVs hold their value better than others. Popular models, especially SUVs, are starting to show depreciation rates much closer to their gas-powered rivals. This is something you must absolutely research for the specific model you're considering. And if you are like most new car owners, you're going to be changing up again in less than 3 years anyway. And that's not going to be cheap, whether it's an EV or an internal combustion engine car. So for a lot of us, this isn't just about the money. It's about doing the right thing for the planet. You've probably heard the myth that the pollution from making the battery so bad it cancels out all the benefits. And let's debunk that right now with actual life cycle data. It's true that manufacturing an EV, and specifically the battery, has a higher carbon footprint than making a gas car. But that's just the start of the story. The moment that EV drives off the lot, it starts paying back that carbon debt. A gas car is going to pollute every single day you drive it on the road. The EV, zero tailpipe emissions. And for most EVs today, the payback for that battery takes place in less than 12,000 miles. And as the processes of battery manufacturing continue to green up, that payback period will most certainly decrease. Now, comprehensive peer-reviewed studies that look into the entire life cycle from mining to manufacturing, driving, and recycling all say the same thing. Over its lifetime, a battery electric vehicle produces significantly lower emissions than a gasoline car. We're talking a reduction of upwards of 75% in total greenhouse gases. That initial carbon cost from making the battery payback period, again, it's typically gone in less than a year and 12,000 miles. And remember this, as our electric grid gets cleaner every year with more renewables, every single EV on the road automatically gets cleaner too. A gas car is going to pollute just as much on its last day, or actually a little bit more than, it did on its first day. So yes, unambiguously, electric cars are the far greener choice. So what is the verdict? It's 2026. Gasoline prices are painful. Is it the perfect moment to go electric? Well, after looking at all these numbers, the end of the big federal tax credits, the real cost of charging, maintenance, and all the hidden factors, the answer is a qualified but increasingly confident yes. For most drivers, especially those who drive more than 10,000 miles a year and can charge at home, an EV will likely cost less to own over 5 to 8 years than any comparable gas car. Your break-even point, where the savings finally overtake the higher sticker price, often lands between 18 and 36 months. But let's be honest, an EV is not for everyone, not yet anyway. We're fighting the good fight to make that increasingly a yes. But if you live in an apartment or other structure with no reliable place to charge, you will be a slave to expensive public chargers, and the savings might not ever show up. But if you're doing it for green reasons, then I say go for it. If you trade your car every couple of years, the faster depreciation on some models might cancel out any short-term savings. But if you can afford a new car every couple of years anyway, then that probably isn't a factor either. For everyone else though, for the daily commuter, the suburban family, the person who's just tired of their budget being held hostage by high gas prices, this might just be the moment the scales have finally tipped in favor of electric. It's no longer a decision based on government handouts. It's a decision based on cold, hard, wallet-friendly math. Math that any third grader should be able to figure out despite the naysayers who live in the comments section of this and all other EV4 channels. You can listen to them, or you can listen to someone who actually owns an EV. That's your choice. So this is a huge decision, and your situation is unique. So I'd like to hear from you. What are you paying for gas in your city? What's your electricity rate? Drop your numbers in the comments below and let's help each other figure this out. What's stopping you from making the switch? Or what has your experience been since you did make the switch? The more real-world data we share, the clearer the answer becomes for everyone. So thanks for stopping by. Please like, share, and subscribe, and I'll see you out there or somewhere along the route from point A to point B. Drive electric And I hope to see you all real soon.